those people live there. You work there. That's their home. So coming into, their home with the bad attitude, tired from last night, mad because you had to drop your kids off this morning, that got to stay in your car. You got to let me say this. I used to tell myself, even if I was tired, I just felt like I was upset about something. Before I got out of my car, I had to put on a different face. And then once I walked in there, I got on my director of nursing face. I'm smiling. My husband used to say all the time, the people don't know you. I got a different voice when I pick up the phone because
professional mode.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, look at you. You be acting fake." That's professional.
About the love, let's talk about communication. Let's talk about the love, let's talk about communication. Oh, let's talk about the love, let's talk about communication. Let's talk about the love, let's talk about communication. Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, William Robinson, coming at you live today from the studios of TLC, Talk, Love, and Communication. Today we have a special guest, Miss LaShawnda Denmark. She's going to give us some wisdom, knowledge, and understanding and input into the medical field and why she chose to be the lady that she is today. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give my guests a special round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Miss Denmark, how you doing today, ma'am?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right, how was your ride over, ma'am?
It was lovely. It was only about 20 minutes.
Okay, it was good. Everybody don't went to work. Some good morning traffic, huh?
Yes.
I tell you what, ma'am. Tell my audience a little bit about yourself, ma'am.
My name is LaShawnda Denmark. I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse since 2018. I've been married for 15 years. My high school sweetheart. We have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. We live in Ocala, Florida. I also work for a company 9 to 5, and then I have my own business on the weekends. My husband is very involved in encouraging me to do what I love, and if I'm unavailable, for the kids for a second, he's always there. So it makes my job a lot easier. It makes me a lot more available to people that are interested in taking my course and work, and so it just makes my life a lot easier.
To speak to that, how important is it to have that support from the husband that's willing to step in and do the things that that help you to succeed in your career, ma'am?
Indescribable. If I can start back to when I was an LPN, and of course everybody at a young age, they struggle when they're trying to, make ends meet, and they have children, at a young age. When I was in LPN school, he was the sole provider. I just focused on going to school and to better myself. And believe it or not, right when I graduated LPN school, it takes about a year, I applied for a job. He and we went down to the job, we applied, and I got it. And right before I got my first check, he got laid off. And it just all rolled into one big blessing. He found a better job after that. We had 2 kids by then, and he just supported, if I couldn't pick him up, he was there. Like, we never had to have anybody pick up our kids, because if I wasn't available, he was. If he wasn't available, I was. So it was just always a partnership that made being one and being a couple and being parents, it just made it all easier and worth doing it. I'm not saying that it wasn't, some bad days or some days where we may have needed my mom or his sister or somebody, but at the end of the day, we knew that we had each other, and if I couldn't do it, he was there 110%. So it's vital.
And that's so important. And even in the field that you do, in nursing and any type of providing health care, it's also important to have that same team. And when you have those qualities within your personal life, it's easy for you to carry that into your career. Is that correct, ma'am?
It's very easy, because being around him for so long, I expect the same thing from my team. I don't want anything less. If I'm going to be there for you, I need you to be there for me the same way. Which why I feel like I was so successful when it came to running my buildings or in my own business, because I expected the same thing that I get at home, or I expected the same thing that I give to you. So it's absolutely 110% necessary and needed in your home life and in your business life.
Explain to my audience, a lot of time we give out these terms in the medical field, LPN, RN, and CNA. What exactly is the proper name for LPN, ma'am?
A licensed practical nurse.
And they does what,
So a licensed practical nurse can basically do the same thing that an RN can do, a registered nurse. There's a little bit of scope of difference in the practice. Like, for instance, LPN can't hang fluids or medications or start a particular IV line, which is called a peripheral line, which is where my certification comes in. So once they come take my 30-hour class that's Florida board approved, then they'll be able to hang IVs, flush lines, start peripheral IVs, hang fluids. So that's the difference between, one of the differences between a licensed practical nurse and a registered nurse. There's many more differences, but that's one of the differences that I'm heavily involved in.
And what was your deciding factor? So how long were you were LPN before you decided, hey, I need to make this jump?
I got my LPN in 2013, and then my background is long-term care. I love it. So once I got my LPN, I wanted to move up within the company that I was working for. And I did as an LPN, but it's only so far you can really go. I wanted to be a director of nursing. So I started school in 2014. And, because of working, and I did at a kind of go at your own pace RN program where I had to travel out of state to do my clinicals. I finished in 2017, but I didn't actually test until 2018 because I had to wait for a clinical site. So I got my LPN in 2013, and I got my RN in 2018.
So basically, because you couldn't advance in your career was your deciding factor to upgrade.
Absolutely.
And how important is that to, the younger crowd, or to, anyone that's looking to be successful? You have to make sacrifices.
Yes.
And it was good that you had your husband on your team, that, that you guys come together, and when it was time to make that jump, he was willing to support you where you can focus on that. Everyone doesn't have that. What would be your suggestion to those who are struggling with whether to make that jump or not, ma'am?
I like you said, everybody's not fortunate to have, whether it's a husband or a mom or a sister or a brother, or somebody that that could be there to back them up or support them if they need it. But I would say, if you didn't have that support, or you don't have that support, don't let that hinder you. There's always, if there's a will, there's a way. It makes it a lot easier when you have that support, but if you don't have it, I would say figure it out. Push.
Because it's worth it.
Because it's worth it.
And and it's a big difference in pay also, correct?
Absolutely, it's a big difference in pay. It's a big difference in pay. I'm gonna say my age here. When I started as a LPN, I made $18 an hour. Once I got my RN, it was about $10 more.
Right.
So it's a life-changing difference.
Right. And you have people today work and make $10 an hour. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So that's 40 hours a week. That's another $400 a week.
Absolutely.
And that's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
And your lifestyle change. And in the medical field, I notice, you go to the hospital and my heart go out to medical people. That I have an admiration for anyone that works in the medical field, because I myself, I went through some surgeries, and the care, these people actually save your life.
They save your life.
You know what I mean? And I think that they should be rewarded. But I think that a lot of medical field is overworked.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
There is, I don't know if you ever heard this, because I know you know your stuff. There's a lot of nurse burnout, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times they get into the field for the money, because the money can be really good, but the burnout is real. Like sometimes I know some nurses that work 4 or 5, 12-hour shifts in a row. You can't do that. That's not legal. But they do it because first they need the money, and then the companies need you. They need you there. And a lot of things can happen when you get that burnout and you get tired. Patient care can go down. You can make errors. Driving to work, you can get tired. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen. So when it comes to burnout and ensuring that, you take care of yourself and you're able to take care of your patients, you have to make sure that there's always that balance.
And that's so important because, like you say, we only human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We look at people because, well, you this is your job. You're supposed to do it, but you are a human being.
That's right.
They have emotions and depressions and stress, and you're tired. And, and it's hard sometimes to keep that smile.
Yeah.
And everyone don't understand that, hey, I'm the cook. I'm preparing your food.
That's
Don't be rude to me.
That's right.
Some people don't understand that. And, we are all human beings with our own set of emotions, our own problems, and what do you think the solution is? If that's the problem, is there a solution?
I don't know if there was a direct solution, but I do think that there has to be compromise and understanding. When you say that, I'm the cook, those people are, in my opinion, just as important as the nurse on the floor, because the nurse on the floor can't go back there and cook your mom or your dad a meal, your nutrition, something like, and you're going to see me on a soapbox talking about meals and how people feel. Those people in that kitchen are actually providing nutrition to your family that they need to be healthy, taking all that medicine that the nurses are giving them and then not eating or not getting the right nutrition. When you're talking about somebody that's in the kitchen and they're sending out meals and they're sending out things to people, that's part of the care plan. That's part of making sure that the patient gets better and the patients thrive. So like you said, that's just as important as anything else.
And the whole team as a whole.
That's right.
Everyone needs to work as a team.
Yep.
When we think about the importance of the youth,
Mm-hmm.
and the adversity within the medical field,
Mm-hmm.
and the minority and the diversity,
Mm-hmm.
How important it is for the minorities to get involved in the medical field. So patients relate to those that, we all relate to things that we are familiar with. You agree with that, ma'am?
I absolutely agree with that. Now I see, saying that, I see a lot more minorities in the nursing field now maybe than I did earlier in my career, because I think that message that you're saying is getting out. The sources are there for us more, I think, to do this. There's a lot more minority male and females, believe it or not, in the field, and they're passing that message along. They can, if anybody can do it. If they can do it, we can do it. And I am seeing more girls, boys, men, women. It is a lot more diversity.
Now, what are some of the pros and cons for a young lady or a young man that's graduating from high school trying to make his decision? I mean, what should I do? What field should I go in?
It's funny you say that, because we have a daughter that graduated high school in May. Mm-hmm. And some of the pros for her, I felt like, was the dedication that was needed to finish the program. Because, at that age, they want to go, they want to run. It's not really thinking about the future. It's kind of right now.
Right.
So a con, I think, would be the dedication that's required to actually be successful and go through the program. And the nursing program isn't just getting through school. You have to actually, once you finish school, you have to take that test. So it doesn't stop until you pass that board of nursing.
And speak of, nursing. Let's say you take a nurse, you've been a nurse for 5 years. How often do you have to recertify, so to speak, or?
So I have to renew my nursing license every other year. Mm-hmm. Everybody, LPNs, CNAs, certified nurses assistants, licensed practical nurses, registered nurses, we renew every other year.
And what exactly does that consist of, ma'am?
It consists of making sure you have your continuing education. Being in this field there's something new that we learn all the time. So we have to have a certain number of continuing educations every year, and it's different for each. We have to have some that are required and then some that are general education. So, for example, we have to have human trafficking. We have to have bloodborne pathogens. We have to have HIV, dementia training. So we have to have those to renew our license every other year. And so that's another thing that I also assist with, giving you continuing education credits for your license renewal.
And it's so important. I think that people in the medical field have a special heart. It takes a special kind of person to do this. You actually risking yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you was a nurse during the COVID.
Yes, I was.
And you have to, you love your family. You have your husband, your kids, but you have to walk in there and treat that patient and you understand that this can be detrimental to your own life.
That's right.
And you have to go home to your family. It takes a big heart, a different kind of heart. Explain to me why the medical field for you.
I'm going to tell you why I initially started to, because I was a certified nurse assistant as well. That was my first role. My grandmother was in a nursing home, and we knew she was passing away. My mom, my sister, and my brother and I went to see her one day, and she was sitting in the bed, and she was staring at the wall, and it had to be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And her breakfast tray was still sitting on the side of the bed. And we lifted it up. It wasn't touched. I'm not going to say that nothing was offered to her, but it looked like she couldn't feed herself. So it looked like nobody even scooped it and tried to feed her. Like, it just looked like it had been sitting there. And perception is everything. That's the way it looked. And she passed away a few days after that. And after that, I said, I just feel like if I can be the change, just one person's grandma, one person's mom, one person's dad. And at that time I had to be 8th grade. So what's that, 13?
Yes, ma'am.
That's when I knew I wanted to do it.
And that's when it's personal. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say it's for the money, but when you have a personal experience, and I'm quite sure the times when you get weary, when you get a little tired, a rude patient, you think about why you're doing what you're doing. And when it goes back to grandmother, the smile, you know what I'm saying? It's good to remember, a lot of times we do things in life, but it's why you do what you do.
That's right.
You can ask me for something and I can say no. I can say no because I'm holding a grudge. I can say no because I don't have it. Only me and God know why I said no.
That's right.
And that's so very important, ma'am. And I want to commend you, and that says a lot about the character of you to hold on to that. Even 4 years before you graduate, you still held on to that in your grandmother's memory.
Thank you.
And my condolences to you for about your grandmother, ma'am.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you also did long-term care.
Yes.
You want to get into that, ma'am?
Yes, that's my passion. That's my passion. I did just a little early stint in the hospital just to say that I could, right? Just to say that I did it. But it was never my passion. Long-term care was always my passion. I wanted to be that person where if families had an issue, they could always be that person that, came to me. And if I didn't know how to fix it, I would try to find somebody that knew how to fix it. And I do feel like in my stint as a unit manager, ADON, clinical educator, director of nursing, I do feel like I was that person to my family. So they always knew they can come to me, call me. Anytime I'm in the bed with my husband, we watching a football game and they're calling and I'm going to answer. Because if you can't call me, who you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
There you go.
When you say long-term care, explain to my audience exactly what it is long-term care.
When you hear the term nursing home, I don't like to say that because it puts in my mind, it's like a bad stigma, nursing homes. You always think smells like
urine. And
Yeah, like it looks, people falling on the floor and sitting in wheelchairs and just staring. I feel like that term, it has a negative stigma behind it. So long-term care is when you have, and honestly, nowadays, it ain't even really elderly now. And when my last DON position, we had people in their 46, 26. So it's really for people who need long-term help, who don't have help at home, who can't be at home anymore. Family can't take care of them. They have an elderly parent. They have, children that are elderly that can't help them. So now that's really what it is. It's exactly long-term care. You're in there for the long term.
do you believe that means more to you because of the relationships you form? What's the difference to you? Why do you think you prefer long-term care over, just regular nursing?
I feel like I like long-term care because of the impact I feel like I can make with families when they think that all is lost. My mom is coming here and this is going to be her last place, and she's just going to sit in bed and nobody's going to come and see her. She's not going to do anything. I think that I loved it because I could, and I did change that perception. When you come in, mom is in activities. Mom is in there throwing a ball. She's making sandals and T-shirts and drinking alcohol as beer. Like she's actually living a life.
You think it takes you back to that 13-year-old
Yes.
girl?
Every time. Every time. Every time. I haven't been a director of nursing in about 3 years, and I still have some patients call me.
And when you say director of nurses, break down that, the qualifications and basically the assignments of being a director of nurses.
You have to be a registered nurse to be a director of nursing. You are over the entire nursing department. So every nurse on the floor, every nursing assistant, every nurse that's not on the floor. So we have some nurses that work in billing, some nurses that work in social services, some nurses that work in different departments, but you are over every nurse that's in the facility.
Okay, and how do you get chosen for that position? I mean, I'm quite sure there has to be some high regards for amongst the, when all of us at the same level and all of a sudden you rise to the cream of the crop. All right, homegirl, now you the boss lady now. And how important is it to, when you're in the medical field, documents, records, everything is so important and so vital. And mistakes cost people lives,
Listen, let me tell you something. The first thing they teach you in nursing school is you didn't document it, it did not happen. You have to document everything that you do and preferably timestamp it to say that you did it. It's very important. At my job currently that I work at, on Wednesday, we had a mock deposition. So that is when the lawyers come in and they pull up a chart and they pick everything that can be a potential lawsuit in the chart. Mm-hmm. And so we picked out a nurse to sit during the deposition and let the lawyers ask the questions. And it was so eye-opening because just simple things, not even a experienced lawyer can literally turn into something that can be detrimental to your company and to your nursing license, because that stuff can be reported. That stuff can actually put your license at jeopardy. So my boss set it up and it was very helpful, and it let you see, like you said, documentation is everything.
That's right. And I had a short stint in the medical field, mm-hmm. and the attachment, it was this young lady, I worked at a kidney center, mm-hmm. and I would come around and, get the kidneys and the dialysis and everything. And there was this lady, when I get there, I guess she arrived her day every time. When I come to work, she'd be about halfway through her sandwich. And I would stop by and I would like, so you gonna eat the whole sandwich? You ain't gonna offer me none? And her hand would shake. She was like, "Here you go, Willie. Take something, Willie." I was like, "No, it's okay." But she really, I'm like, "No, mm-hmm. no. And but she came every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And every now and again they'll go to the hospital or something. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, "Well, what happened to Miss Such and Such?" And they told me that lady passed away. Man, you talking about something. I didn't understand how close I had the attachment, and that literally hurt me, I went back to my office, you know what I mean, and it bothered me, you know what I mean? And you got all her records in there, her file, and it's how do you deal with the loss, ma'am?
You're expected to kind of not show emotion when you lose a resident or a patient, or even if the resident or the patient loses a family member that came in every day or came to your office every day and asked you questions and they talk to you all the time. You kind of expected not to show emotion, but it's hard because you're with those people almost more than you're with your family. Yep. And even when you're with your family, sometimes they calling you, asking you questions and those type of things. So how that I deal with it, I cried if I had to. I cried if I had to, alone in my office when I got home. Because like you said earlier, we're human. And you actually grow emotions for these residents.
They tell you in policy, anytime you work in the medical field, you can't have a personal relationship with a resident or a patient. And there's a few times, the man, he would have a hat and he have all employees' name in a hat, and he pull your name out, and he want to do something for you. Mm-hmm. So they was like, well, you can't, this, that, and another, I'm like, it's just the man, and I understand the meaning behind that. So if the relationship go bad, you don't, you have the ability to hurt this patient.
Right.
By, and it's, you grow attachment, you know what I mean? You grow to, and me watching them come from the nursing home to the kidney center, and me, I'm so vibrant, I walk in, watch out now, it's a hospital setting, it's all quiet, everything cold. I come in, Kung Fu boy, I'm pouring call. They like, how you hanging? He said, I'm hanging low. He had the catheter in his thigh, and his name was Mr. Boy. So I was like, Kung Fu boy, how you hanging? He was like, I'm hanging low. It kind of look, it's just you build like little chemistry, and you make them smile. And there was a patient who had jaundice, and I had never seen a yellow man. Mm-hmm. This man was yellow. I'm talking about banana, yellow. On the Afro-Americans, we turn very, very dark.
Right.
Very dark.
Right, almost orange.
Yes. This man was yellow. Mm-hmm. His blood was yellow. His eyeballs was yellow. And he would have the sheet over it because he was aware of what he looked like. So he would, the administrator had never seen him communicate with no one. And he would just have the cover up to his eyes because he was ashamed. Mm-hmm. And me and my personality, the first time I seen him, I was kind of flabbergasted. What the world? So I called a nurse, and the nurse kind of explained it to me. His kidney is blood. His blood that come out of his body is yellow. Yep. And I'm just a kid growing up from Buzzard Quarters, man. I don't what the world going on. You know what I mean? But that's what education does, and that's the reason why you are who you are, ma'am. That's the reason why you teach these classes, and we're going to go over these lists of qualifications that you, and the things that you have the ability to input into our community, and why are these things so important, ma'am? And that man would come from under the cover for me, and the administrator was so appalled. She couldn't believe that someone got him to talk. And at that time, I still had a little street left in me. So me and the nurses didn't too much get along. It's good because, they making $30 an hour. Mm-hmm. I'm making $12 an hour. I have some of the big head. Mm-hmm. And also we're going to talk about attitude within the nursing field. You have to be professional at all times. You have to leave Marion Mountain on Marion Mountain. You got to leave Parkside at Parkside. I had to leave Buzzard Quarters to Buzzard Quarters. It kind of took me a little bit. I had common sense, but, the patients loved me. The nurses didn't. And the administrator had enough sense to know I've been working with these ladies long enough to understand that Mr. Robinson might not be wrong. You know, I'm just man enough to bring it out because there was no men there.
Right.
You know, just me and the guy that work on the machines, you know. So how important is attitude in the medical field, ma'am?
Attitude is everything. If you got a poor attitude, your day is already blown, because everything, if your attitude starts off bad when you walk in, everything else is gonna just annoy you even a little bit more. And you're supposed to be there to be the sunshine for the patients. Even whatever you got going on at home or at another job they got to stay at the door, because at the end of the day, in my profession, long-term care, when you walk in, those people live there. You work there, that's their home. So coming into, their home with a bad attitude, tired from last night, mad because you had to drop your kids off this morning, that got to stay in your car. You got to let me say this. I used to tell myself, even if I was tired, I just felt like I was upset about something. Before I got out of my car, I had to put on a different face. And then once I walked in there, I got on my director of nursing face. I'm smiling. My husband used to say all the time, "The people don't know you." I got a different voice when I pick up the phone, because
professional mode.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, look at you, you be acting fake." That's professional. Let me handle my business, and then once I get off the phone, then I can be whoever I am outside of work or outside of my business. But you have to be able to separate the two. I think that if you can't separate the two, you won't have a long professional life, and not because of. It's because some people not gonna have you there acting like that and being disrespectful to families and residents.
You have to be approachable.
That's right.
You said something earlier, and the word was perception.
Oh, yeah.
See, perception is everything. How a person perceive you to be. You can have one man come to you in a suit and tie with a briefcase, and you will perceive him to be someone.
That's right.
And that same man could come to you in an inmate's uniform, and you will perceive him to be something else.
That's right.
So perception is everything, and it's how you present yourself. It's no different than you going into. I remember the first time I went into the Roll House, and that's the one with the peanuts be on the floor or something.
Cody's.
And I went in there, and I'm stepping on something that's dark. I'm thinking, what is this? And I ordered drinks, and I realized that those were peanuts on the floor. No, we're going to pay for these drinks and get out of here. You understand what I'm saying? Because they might have excellent food. I never tasted. You know what I'm saying? Because of my perception of the way I was raised, and we don't chew peanuts and throw them on the floor in a setting that you eat at. So I walked out of that place. You know what I mean? So, and it's the same thing moving forward. But we're going to get into why we're really here. All these great qualifications you have and these certifications you're giving these young ladies and young men all over the city of Ocala, Florida. So we got something called BLS.
Yes.
Explain to my audience what that is, ma'am.
So if you don't know what that is, BLS is basic life support. So that is a certification that every nurse must have. Long-term care, hospital, you cannot work if you don't have a BLS. That is performing CPR on someone. It's the Heimlich maneuver if someone's choking. It shows you how to bag a person, like if they have an ambu bag and you have to, give them extra oxygen. It shows you all those things that a first responder needs. And you have to be BLS certified to perform CPR on someone.
So anything that's cardiac arrest, respiratory distress, or, obstructing the airway, anything of that nature.
Yes.
And that's so important, even for within your own family and your own household. So even if you're not looking to exactly get into the nursing field, this is something to have someone in the family within your house to have this training, correct, ma'am?
Absolutely. So BLS is usually for the healthcare providers, but I also offer something that's called Heart Saver, which is for people who aren't in the nursing profession. So, for example, I did some courses for Pop Warner, their cheerleading coaches and their coaches had to have that certification, so they receive Heart Saver. So Heart Saver is a little bit more in depth, but it's for non healthcare workers. So it teaches you anything from basic life support on adults, infants, and it also teaches you if someone breaks an arm, if someone breaks a leg, if someone goes unconscious, if someone has a allergy to something, it shows you how to put on gloves, take them off, wash your hands, what to do with blood spills. So it's a little bit more in depth because, sometimes those people don't have the basic
skills.
Yeah.
So basically, if you out there, so I tell y'all what, if y'all see Miss Denmark out at the football game and something go wrong, don't call the coach. We're going to call Miss Denmark to get over there and get them right. So that's something you think you'll be able to do?
Absolutely.
It's instincts.
It's instincts.
Sometimes when you're trained to do something, the instincts is, you don't even know it. You're not even aware of the instincts. It just kicks in.
Absolutely. And I tell people where I teach the classes, because I do people that just need renewals and people who also, it's their first time. Even the people who are just renewals, I tell them, if you have to do CPR on somebody, you're going to be nervous a little bit. But my goal is always, and you're going to hear me say this a couple of times because I tell all my students this, my goal for you is to be confident and competent. That's it. That's all. You never want to do CPR on anybody, but if you ever have to do it, I want you to be confident and competent.
So speaking of CPR, BLS and CPR is not the same thing, but CPR is within BLS, correct?
Absolutely. So BLS encompasses a few things, like I told you earlier, when it comes to choking, when it comes to, putting oxygen on somebody, bagging somebody. BLS stands for basic life support. So whatever it takes in the basic form to sustain life.
When you say bagging someone, what do you mean now?
Like an ambu bag. If you've ever seen a crash cart in the hospital or long-term care, inside of the crash cart, they'll have a bag that kind of looks like a ant. It has like a big bubble butt, and then it has a mask on the front of it.
No, ma'am, I haven't seen one of those. So what exactly do you do with the bag? Is that the thing that you put over their mouth and you blow in the bag?
So you don't have to blow in it. You squeeze the back of it.
Okay.
So you would put it over their face, and then there's like a little bubble at the end, and you squeeze it twice.
I got a couple years on you, so I remember Miss Cunningham over at Forest High School. We had Choking Charlie. you know what Choking Charlie is?
Yes, I heard of Choking Charlie.
And they kind of teach you the CPR thing. It's A, open air. You walk us through CPR. It's A, open airway.
So,
B, breathe. C, call.
Now you sound like a nurse now.
Hey,
the way you talking.
It's funny that
So this is what it is now, right? It's just this simple. 30 and 2. So you just want to remember when you are doing CPR on somebody, you want to get them on a flat surface. You want to give them 30 compressions or 2 breaths. Always remember to tilt their head back, and your 2 breaths need to be no longer than a second. So quick breaths. If you have to put your mouth on them. So like for anybody that's not nursing and something happens to somebody in Walmart and they fall out, sometimes in those kits, they'll have something where you can put over their mouth. If not, you got to give them some air. So 30 and 2. That's all you need to remember. 30 and 2.
And how important, some people with today's world, with the COVID and the mind frame of the world today, back in the days when I was learning, it was only one way. You put your mouth on it, you blow in their mouth. With people that's being, how the world is today. So,
yeah.
If there's no kit, if you're interested, if a life is on the line,
mm-hmm.
you have to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
If you care.
If you care. And I want to say this, too, because I think this is very important. Anybody who is, that has the CPR card, they're BLS certified, they have a Heart Saver card, and you are, somebody fall out and you help them with CPR, you shouldn't ever be afraid to help anyone, because there is a law that's called the Good Samaritan law, where as long as you are acting within good faith and the person still dies, or the person, you crack a rib while you're doing it, that Good Samaritan law protects you.
And when you say a Heart Saver certification. The first, what exactly is that, ma'am?
So the Heart Saver certification is just like CPR, but it's a lot more in depth because it's for a person that's not in the healthcare field.
Right. Okay. Okay. I understand now. So it's kind of like a person at home. You want to get one for.
Yes.
So what do you recommend to, a young family? You just starting your family. You got kids and everything. It is important to come and get some kind of training.
Absolutely.
Because I'm a firm believer in it's no redos.
Ain't no redos.
It's no redos. You don't get to throw the red flag like in the NFL and go back and look at it. You know what I mean? You want to do everything prevention mode.
Absolutely. And you listen, if you got a family of five, I firmly believe that one person out of that family, at least one person needs to know how to do CPR on an adult and a baby. They need to know how to do the Heimlich maneuver on an adult and a baby. Because you never know. You never know. Somebody can start choking. Somebody can start breathing. You never know. So it's better to know how to do it and not guess. That's
correct. And what exactly, let's back up. What is the name of your company, ma'am?
The name of my company is Restarting Hearts Training Solutions.
And how did you come up with that name, ma'am?
I wanted something that really kind of show a little bit of me and a little bit of emotion, because if whether someone is doing CPR or IV certification, I feel like restarting the heart is what is the core. It keeps the body going, whether it's emotional or medical. The heart is the center.
And it's also some, a metaphor in that restarting the heart.
Yeah.
Just having a change of heart as an individual, outlook on life. Just the heart is everything.
The heart is everything.
Without the heart, the heartbeat of America. Finish it. It's
well,
you don't know it?
No.
What?
Sing it.
It's today's Chevrolet.
No.
I tell you what, ma'am. So you spoke of that. You teach IV certification.
Yes.
Explain that. Explain how to. Sometimes it's hard. How important it is to drink water, do things of this nature. When you're going to get blood, drink water, get any liquid and fluid within you. And why is that so important?
So let me tell you why I love CPR, but IV certification is just a little bit closer to me, to my heart, because when I was a director of nursing, it was always hard to find. I had so many licensed practical nurses, and they were so good, but it was just certain things that they couldn't do. And it was hard to find someone to give them that 30-hour certification. It was just hard. And if I did find somebody, they were so expensive, and the company didn't want to pay for it, and they didn't really have the money to pay for it. So IV certification is really close to my heart. And it's funny you say about drinking water, because I always tell everybody in my class, don't try to stick anybody in one sitting a minimum of 2 times. That's it. Because first off, it makes them feel like you don't know what you're doing, even though you probably do.
Right.
But the second thing is they may need a little bit of hydration. So tell them, hey, Mr. Brown, drink some water. I'll be back in a couple of hours and we'll try it again. Because water is everything. Water helps hydrate the body. It makes the veins sometimes more visible. Have you ever heard of tugger when you put it up like this, and if it stays up, that means they're dehydrated a little, maybe dehydrated. Yes, so when you say encouraging fluids, water, that's everything.
So, you got running veins and all of these things, these terminology you heard the nurses use. Oh, you got small veins, or they tap it and,
rolling veins.
Or sometimes, I heard why is it sometimes when you get a IV, sometimes you get the swelling under there or the bruising. What is these things come from?
Now you're going deep now. Sometimes if you see swelling on it, and that's one thing that I also teach about in my class because it's very important, infiltration. So infiltration is when you insert an IV, and it may be fine in the beginning, but sometimes it'll get dislodged. And then whatever fluid you're running, it goes into the space where it's not supposed to go. So it's supposed to go into the vein to be go to the heart, distributed through the body. But if the IV gets dislodged, it can infiltrate and the fluid can go into the skin, into the tissue, and it makes it swell up underneath it. So if that happens, then, you got to call the doctor, stop it so that the fluid quits running. So that's what that is when they see that swelling underneath. So that's one thing that I show and we talk about in my courses.
And that's very important. So as far as, like it's different type of, do we have different size veins, and what causes, if you do have small veins or running veins, is there something that you should do as a patient when you know you have an appointment and you're going to get an IV?
It's something that you think you should do as a patient? No, maybe just probably as a patient. Just stay hydrated. Try not to do drugs because that really kill your veins if you're shooting up veins. But things as a nurse that a nurse should do, there's things that a nurse could do to make the insertion a lot easier. Like one of the things, if they do this, if they anchor that vein, 9 times out of 10, they probably going to hit it. So anchoring the vein makes the insertion a lot easier for the nurses.
And what do you mean by anchor?
So let's just say I want to get this vein right here in my arm. You see that one? I'm going to grab on my hand, and I'm going to take my thumb, and I'm going to pull that vein down like that. Okay. You see? I'm going to anchor that vein down so that it reduces the chances of it rolling or me losing it. So anchoring that vein is something that the nurse can do to help their stick be successful.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't never seen that one before. We're going to anchor these veins.
Anchor them veins
next
down.
Next time I go, I'm going to say, hey, you need to anchor that vein.
Make sure you anchor that vein.
But you know what? They don't get me they have to get my hands now. I mean.
And that hurt. Exactly.
And me having a nerve problem, when they stick me, sometimes I have involuntary movements. So therefore, it causes me to flinch and jump. And, I'm scaring them. But I've learned to tell them, ma'am, I have, I got a nerve problem. So if I flinch, I'm not,
Let me tell you what, I had got a little procedure done one time in an old school nurse. I was getting an IV in the back of my hand. And she know it hurt. That's how you know she a good nurse, because it really hurts. She gave me lidocaine first. And you don't feel it after that. That's another example of a nurse caring. Because she could have came and just stuck me and didn't care how I felt about it.
Going the extra mile.
That's right.
Going the extra small thing.
Yep.
It's kind of like, when I talk to younger men, I believe that because you take care of your kids, because you clean the house and you cook food and you don't get money out the bank without your husband knowing, that doesn't mean that you love him.
That's right.
All that means is that you have proper raising, and that's your integrity. None of those things tell him that you love him, because you're going to eat anyway. You're going to cook anyway. You just cook 2 more pieces of chicken.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to, you know what I mean? That doesn't tell him that you love him. It's the little things.
It's the little things
that let someone know that you care.
That's right.
And that's so important. Even with your training, ma'am, when you give all these certifications, the IV certification, the CPR, the BLS, the mandatory 12-hour course that you give, do you also tell them the importance of the small things? Hospitality.
About everybody that comes to my class, I always tell them, when you walk into that patient room, I want you to already know why you're there. Even if the patient don't ask you, hey, why you finna start this IV on me? Already know why. Don't let him ask you. Let him know why you're there. Hey, Mr. Brown, I'm here to start an IV on you. The doctor wants to give you 1 bag of fluids. It just shows respect. It shows that I'm just not gonna come in here pulling on you. It shows that I know what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. And I tell them, if you do that, you can be scared. You don't even know what you're doing. But if you do that, it makes them feel like you do. It makes them trust you. It makes them feel like, okay, this person right here might be all right. So that is very important. That's half the battle.
That is half the battle. A med tech. Mm-hmm. You want to elaborate on that?
Yes. So a med tech is a medication technician. Those are people the certification that I do is the 6-hour certification, and those people can work in assisted living or home health. So these people, once they successfully pass the course, they can assist with the medication administration. So what that means is they can assist a resident who can give their self meds with giving them the medication, so they can pull the meds out the cart. They can break them if it needs to be broken. They can pour the meds in the cup, but they have to give. The difference is that they're unlicensed, so they're just certified. They have to put the medication in the cup and give it to the patient. So that's why it's only assisted living and home health.
And a lot of your certifications, they don't have to have your classes certifies them. So it's not like they have to go off to college and do these things. So, you know, this can be a young lady graduating from high school
Absolutely.
in June. In August, I'm in the medical field.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I always say it's entry. Doing the med tech course will let you know if this for me or not, because it's very entry level. It shows you the very basics, and it lets you know, all right, this may be for me, or this is not for me, without you wasting a lot of money.
and time, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You'll figure out very early if this is for you or not.
That's right.
And, you know, and speaking of the money, you know, do you want to speak on, you want to go down the list of what all you have available, and, you know, the hours and the times, and, you know, how much, some of them are, you know, you would think that they're very expensive, but they're not.
They're not. And my goal is, hubby, close your ears, I really don't do it for the money. I just do it because if I make a little money while I'm doing it, that's a plus. But I just do it because I love it. I love teaching. I love it when they're successful. I tell my IV nurses all the time, let me know when you get your first stick. Let me know how it went. Yeah. And they do. Yeah. They be so excited when they get their first stick and it's successful. So I do it because I love it. And so I do have a Monday through Friday, but I always tell them I work around your schedule. So if I'm off work and you work a crazy shift and you want to do it, a little bit later, I'm there. But Saturday and Sundays are my days that I'm available for them anytime. I just work around their schedule. I tell them that if it can be just one, if you need me to come, let's do it.
And you're also mobile, correct?
I am also mobile.
So there's no excuse to get this class.
There's no excuse to get this class.
Phone call away.
That's right.
And how can my audience reach you, ma'am?
So all of my social medias, this is the same handle, Restarting Hearts Training Solutions, and my phone number. And then I also have an email address, restartinghearts at yahoo.com. And I have a phone number. You want me to see my phone number?
It's on you, ma'am.
My phone number, 352-282-6319. And I know everybody probably seen my Facebook page. So.
And, this is a young lady been doing this a while. It's yahoo.com. So that been up a while. So we ain't got no rookie. We got a seasoned vet here.
Don't do me like that.
Ma'am, to you just LaShawnda Denmark. You just Miss Denmark.
That's right.
Good old country girl, North Marion.
That's right.
But whether you realize it or not, you are a mentor. You know how many, when you train these women and men, they look up to you.
They do.
And when they get in trouble and when they get discouraged, they go back to the trainer.
That's right.
To the mental things. It's kind of like having a parent there. As long as mommy there, mommy she gonna take up the slack. But when mama going, you remember all the things mama told you.
That's right.
And that's what you are, whether you believe it or not. You are a mentor in this community, ma'am, and that's the reason why you're sitting in this chair today. And we commend you, ma'am. And how does it feel when you see your clients get that certificate? I mean, it means so much to them. I mean, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel good because I like to see them succeed, and when they get it and they catch it and I see them and they see they get that first flash and that first stick, I just be like, yeah, y'all got it.
And see, when you do things from the heart, ma'am, the comment that you made, like when you do things, it's hard. It's like freely I receive, freely I give. You know, if it's up to you, you know, you would do it because you know it's helping people.
That's right.
Just like that 13-year-old girl, there's hundreds and thousands of 13-year-old girls out there wondering the same thing about grandma.
Yeah.
And you know that each one of these people are helping grandma.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that, like you say, it wasn't long when your grandmother passed. And those are moments that you never forgot. And that's how, when we think about, well, how would you want to be remembered? You know, you live from such and such, dash, such and such. What does that dash mean? And, and the impact that you made on lives. And, it's monumental moments in life that changes us forever.
Mm-hmm.
And, ma'am, and we thank you, and that tells a lot about the character. And for you to be so young when that happened, and for it to be sitting here as a mature woman today to carry on that same feeling, how does it feel?
Honestly, I feel like she's smiling down. I feel like that day when I was 13 years old, it led to me being some of the woman that I am today. Because I do feel like, I hate to go back to it, I do feel like my husband is a big part of why I am where I'm at today, why I am the woman that I am today. I do feel like he's a big part of that. But I feel like that moment was a deciding factor in my career path. And that also determined the woman that I am and that I'm going to continue to aspire to be.
What kind of advice would you give younger women today that struggle? There's a lot of women that hurting. Women as a whole, men hurt also, but today life is different. It's so many 25-year-old women that's homeless, literally homeless, 25. That's unheard of in our era. Mm-hmm. Because, now you have a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old young lady with a 35-year-old mom.
Yep.
And,
That's true.
Mom is competing with the daughter. They
That's
at
true.
the same thing, the same place. So, girl, you better go about your business. You know what I mean? The struggle. What kind of advice would you give them when they're lost? And let them know that every day it's not going to be peaches and cream.
If I had to say anything, and it's very simple, and you hear it all the time on social media in like a joking way, but I'm going to say it in a serious way. At the end of the day got to end. So you have to keep moving. Whether you don't do it today, you could do it tomorrow. You could do it the next day. For example, I said to myself, I'm too old to go back and get my master's. I'm about to be 40. And then I said to myself, I'm going to be 40 anyway, whether I get my master's or not. So,
and happy to be 40.
Right.
Can't wait to get there. Yeah.
So that's what I got to say. The day is going to, your time is going to go, your time is going to roll, So if your holdup is, dang, man, I don't got the time to do this. I'm too old to do this. I'm too young to do this. I can't do it right now. Time is going to keep going.
Okay, question. You, your husband, and your father.
Yes.
Y'all on your way to the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
You're driving.
Mm-hmm.
Who sits in the front seat?
Husband.
That's correct. The husband sits in the front seat.
Preferably the driver's seat.
The driver's seat. Do you go to sleep when he's driving?
Yes, I do.
Who is more prone to tell the first? Who's more prone to be the first one to say "I love you" each day?
Yeah.
If he cooked the food, who washes the dishes?
He don't wash dishes.
Do you feel like there's roles in marriages? You think there's, the good old days, so to speak?
I do. It's some things that, God, you're going deep now. It's some things that he doesn't do, that I don't.
If you were to cook dinner, you cook dinner, of course, I'm a man that nowadays, men and women work. Just say you cook dinner, and of course, you fix everybody plate, the kids, the husband, so you pretty much the last one to sit down and eat. And you were eating last, and all of a sudden you look up and husband's in there washing the dishes for you. How would that make you feel?
How that make me feel? Remember, I don't. That's something that.
That's something that, and it's funny, every household is different.
Right. Yeah. Let's say that first. Every household is different. I commend every husband that washes dishes.
Like me, I'm a breakfast man. Like I'm a pretty much always. I get up and I like to cook. I'm a chef. I have, so I get up and cook breakfast. Mostly every morning. If we don't have to, I get up and cook breakfast for her, and that's something that she appreciates. But I understand every man may not know how to cook.
Right.
I don't want to burn the kitchen out trying to cook. And it's times where if she cook, if I see she's tired, it's kind of like a appreciation. I'm not obligated. I don't get. We ain't finna be getting the way you thinking I'm finna be. You know what I mean? But
That's him.
But I think that to show a little appreciation, I made. And every household is different. Every man is different.
Absolutely.
And great women. And nowadays people don't talk like this, but great women follow their man.
Absolutely.
And that's how it should be. That's not the way we decided. God made me a man and your husband a man and you a woman.
That's right.
And he said is God the Father, Jesus Christ, the man, then the woman.
That's right.
And that's what it is, And that's just, talk to Jesus when you get there.
He say it all the time.
And that's how important is. So what do you think? I believe every successful marriage must have a foundation. What is your foundation, ma'am?
Simply, my foundation, our foundation. When I say our 3 kids, is him. I don't know if I tell him this enough, but I think I've at least told him this a few times in our years together. I don't know what my life would be like without him. I don't know. Like you said, we've been together half our life. I don't know. So honestly, my foundation, our foundation is him.
That's some, I met this young man today. I was fortunate enough to meet him, and that's some great words. And it's sometimes we don't say things to each other. When you think of the word love within itself, if you had to describe love in one word, what would it be, ma'am?
Love in one word.
Just say his name.
Terrell.
How important is communication?
Now I don't want to be a hypocrite, but communication is everything. But Willie, he looking at me like I'm crazy. Communication is everything, but I may look perfect, but I'm not.
Who told you look perfect? Ma'am, the point that, understanding that you say you've been married to your husband 15 years, and you guys are fairly, you middle age, we still consider young. You got with him at a young age.
Yes, I did.
And with all due respect, you are an attractive woman yourself. And most women are just, I ain't taking this from him. It ain't like I can't find nobody. And there's so much of that today. But you're enduring the point that you understand communication and certain things But the fact of the matter is, no relationship is perfect.
Right.
And like you say, I may look perfect, but I'm not perfect. I can go put on this professional voice, but it's a monster in here. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, you endured.
That's right.
Y'all are here together, happy, smiling, united as one. And that's what's important. And that's something that we need more of. Why do you think there's so many broken homes within our communities, so many absentee fathers?
Lord have mercy, you're gonna get me ate up by the girls. Sometimes I think us as women make it a little bit hard for them. Honestly, I think that sometimes we say absentee fathers, but majority of them don't want to be. I feel like sometimes we as women make it hard for them to be involved, sometimes because of feelings or still have feelings or the hate that they may have for, the child's father. Lord, you're going to get me killed by the people. But, I have friends, very, very close friends. And sometimes I do think that we make it hard for them. And, for the absentee fathers that are not, in their, I don't know. I can't speak on that because I didn't have that in my dad and I don't have that in my husband. So I don't really know about that.
Do you think that unconsciously women seek their father within their husband?
Sometimes, but I didn't. I feel like I wanted him to be maybe a little bit different than my father.
Well, of course you don't want your father,
Right.
but you don't mean the qualities.
Yes, okay. Qualities. I wanted him to have all of the qualities of my father because my father was very involved in our lives.
And with that being said, there's so many fathers not there. And I think if young ladies that's bitter at this man and decide to keep the baby away, if you understood what you was doing to your child and generations, you know what I'm saying? Generations to come. Sometimes we look at grandmother sitting in that chair and grandma, she's so sweet. Look at grandmother. But grandma was a monster.
Grandma was a monster.
Grandma was a monster.
Grandma was a monster.
These things that you think you doing, grandma, these people been doing this for hundreds of years.
That's right.
They ain't just invented this stuff.
That's right.
And we have to get a grasp on this, and talk, love, and communication. Family. Communicating, talking, listening, sharing, caring. Loving the right way, the way God has input it within us to love, and then to communicate our love. And me, as men, we don't communicate properly most of the time as men. Because we taught to be tough, suck it up, boy, stop crying, stop acting like a little girl, and these things, but we have to communicate together. And I commend you and your husband for being together so long. And I admire people that when I see that, any type of love, or black love, man, it's beautiful. I did get to speak with your husband. We got some things in common. I'm going to check his football knowledge. I'm going to get him on the gridiron, talk to him about my Miami Dolphins and see what he knows. But he might be a Gator fan coming up in North Marion.
No, man. Florida State.
Through and through. He all right, baby. Okay.
Through and through.
But we having it rough, boy. Lord have mercy. Between my Dolphins and Seminoles, they ain't won but one game, too. But ma'am, I commend you. I want to thank you very much. We're going to play a game called Fill in the Blank.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you some questions quickly, precisely. You answer them. First thing come to mind is no right or wrong.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I've always wanted to
win the lottery.
I love when someone
apologizes.
If I had to do it all over again, I would
go back to school.
My favorite holiday is
Christmas.
It aggravates me when people.
Lie.
The best quality someone could have is.
Honesty.
If I was God, the first thing I would do is.
Come back.
My childhood crush was. He might have been on TV.
Jaheim.
Jaheim? Mm-hmm. If I could travel anywhere in the world, it would be.
Paris.
If I could have dinner with anyone in the world, it would be.
Jay-Z.
My favorite cartoon is.
Ren and Stimpy.
My favorite movie is.
Love and Basketball.
If I could go back to any age, it would be.
I wouldn't.
Jesus is.
Everything.
When I meet a person, the first thing I notice is.
Eyes.
If I could ask God one question, it would be.
Why?
My greatest strength is.
I love hard.
The biggest misconception about LaShawnda Denmark is.
That I'm mean.
My greatest weakness is.
People pleaser.
I draw a line in the sand if you.
If you betray me. If I feel like you betrayed me.
If I had to star in a movie with any actor, it would be.
Holly Berry.
Which one of y'all gonna have the leading role?
Holly Berry. I'm just going to follow her lead.
Okay. I love the medical field because.
I can make a difference.
My patients are special because.
They need me.
That's right, ma'am. So we're gonna have this is the last episode thing here. Okay. It's called AMA.
Okay.
Where you,
Miss
Denmark, get to ask me, William Robinson, anything.
Okay. I like this. Go.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you decide to become a podcaster?
Being obedient to God is the short story. I had a disability, spinal surgery, going through my rehab, going to sleep. I wake up and I'm meditating, fasting, and praying. I heard the word podcast over and over. I never heard the word in my life. So I asked some people, what is a podcast? Come home, fall, break my leg. Well, Lord, what I'm going to do? You know, you let me walk again. I promise you a podcast. So I studied. I didn't know what YouTube was. When I left the streets, there was no Facebook, no internet, no nothing. So it was like a space shuttle. But I learned, and here I am today interviewing you, ma'am.
Perfect answer.
Any more AMA? Ask me anything.
Let me think. Is your wife involved in any of this when it comes to your podcast business?
Yeah, she's very, very encouraging. She, like I say, my beginnings were very hard because I didn't understand any of this. She's very supportive. My logo, she made my logo. She makes my little clothes I wear, my cups, any of my merchandise. She comes sits here long nights. You know, when I go live, she don't want me leaving at night. I'm like a kid sometimes. But she's very, very supportive.
And I got one more.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, who has been your favorite interviewer?
You know, ma'am, I'm the type of person, I have no respect of persons. You know, I literally, each and every one of you are important to me. You know, like a lot of times, like when I reached out to you, I think you even said, why me? You know, everybody always say, why me? I follow my spirit. And sometimes I believe that God leads me to certain people. And I think the work that you do is very influential within our community. And like I said, you know, I don't want your husband to kill me. But like I told you earlier, I think people are attracted to pretty things. People like pretty things. You was a pretty lady that done influential things. And I say, well, I think they'll click and see what she got to say. Plus, you do positive work within the community. So I believe that, I think that I've learned. I interviewed Mr. Floyd Magwood. I haven't published him yet. and he works for insurance, a very, very large insurance company. And the educational aspect of that interview is very, very influential to our people to let us understand the importance of life insurance, homeowners insurance, and even car insurance, what to look for. Because sometimes a lot of minorities are not in certain fields, so certain gems are not given to us as a people. And he gave us quite a few gems. That's a very important episode.
Come on, post that. I'm ready for that one.
Yes, for generational wealth can be obtained right at our fingertips. You know, a lot of people don't understand the work that you do, ma'am, and the services that you provide. You don't have to go to CF for 3 years or 2 years.
That's right.
You call LaShawnda Denmark and you get these classes done. If you can't come to us, she gonna come to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is not one excuse for you to not to be successful. You know, you tired of going through what you're going through, you get this young lady a call.
That's right.
She's telling you that she do this out of her heart. Now, you know, she have to feed her family, but if you know, I'm quite sure she'll follow her spirit. You know, she'll help you help yourself.
That's right.
And it's only a phone call away. And let them know that phone number one more time, ma'am.
352-282-6319.
Okay, is that your last AMA, ma'am?
That's my last one.
Okay, ma'am, you're going to look directly into this camera over my shoulder here. You're going to give the world, my audience, your final thoughts. Any message you want to get out to the world, ma'am?
My final thoughts for today is always follow your dream. Don't be scared to go out on a limb. Don't be scared to venture out and do something that you may be afraid to do, because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be happy you did it. And that's it.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, I am your host, William Robinson of Talk, Love, and Communication, ladies and gentlemen. This is my story with Miss Denmark. She have given us some input, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to her life in the medical field, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need to give her a call. We need to get up off them couches, you know what I'm saying? We can make a difference in our own life, make generational wealth. The medical field is very lucrative. Overtime, all you want, overtime. Get into the medical field. Give it a shot. Give Miss Denmark a phone call. She's mobile. She's willing to come to you. You know what I mean? She caring and sharing, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, we only got one life to live, and it's a whole lot easier with love and communication. And remember, if no one told you they love you today, William Robinson loves you. You can support this channel by Cash App. Anybody love you with a U, PayPal Robinson74William@gmail.com. Zelle 352-209-3306.